Why Marry? A Comedy in 3 Acts by Jesse Lynch Williams. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Why Marry? A Comedy in 3 Acts. Narrated by Elizabeth Klett. New York, Astor Theatre. Produced by Selwyn and Company. December 25th, 1917. Under the direction of Roy Cooper McGrew. The scene is a weekend at a country house not far away. The time, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, and Sunday evening. The people at the house, as you meet them.
Jean, the host's younger sister who has been brought up to be married and nothing else. Read by Ariel Lipshaw.
Rex, an unmarried neighbour who has not been brought up to be anything but rich. Read by John Fricker.
Lucy, the hostess, who is trying her best to be just an old-fashioned wife in a new-fashioned home. Read by Katine.
Uncle Everett, a judge who belongs to the older generation and yet understands the new, and believes in divorce. Read by Algy Pugg.
Cousin Theodore, a clergyman and yet a human being who believes in everything except divorce. Read by Dennis Smith.
John, who owns the house and almost everyone in it, and does not believe in divorce. Read by Marty Criss.
Helen, the host's other sister, whom everyone wants to marry, but who doesn't want to marry anyone. Read by Avaí.
Ernest, a scientist, who believes in neither divorce nor marriage, but makes a great discovery. Read by Matthew Reese.
The Butler, read by David Lawrence.
Advance Notice by the author. Jesse Lynch Williams, read by Elizabeth Klett.
A most estimable lady, read by Iswa.
Bachelor's Niece, read by Dana Meilinger.
One afternoon, shortly before the New York opening of this comedy, a most estimable lady sat down to make me a cup of tea.
"Now do tell me, what is your play about?"
she inquired with commendable enthusiasm. For, being a true woman, she had early achieved the becoming habit of letting members of the superior sex talk about themselves. "Why Marry," said I, "tells the truth about marriage."
"Oh, why,"
she expostulated,
"why write unpleasant plays?"
"But it is not unpleasant."
"Then it isn't true,"
she exclaimed.
"That is, I mean, did you say cream or lemon?"
And in the pause which accompanied the pouring of the cream, I detected the look of one realizing too late that it is always better to think before speaking. This little incident, it seemed to me, epitomizes charmingly the attitude of our nicest people toward our fundamental institution. The truth about marriage must be unpleasant. Therefore tell us something we know isn't true. It will be so much nicer for our young people. It is to be feared, however, that young people who go to see Why Marry in the hopes of being shocked do not get their money's worth. I have heard of but 2 persons who have been scandalized by this play, and they were both old people. One was a woman in the country who had not seen it, but had read the title, and so wrote several indignant letters about it. The other was an elderly bachelor of the type which finds useful occupation in decorating club windows like geraniums. He took his niece to see it, and, deciding at the end of Act 2 that the play was going to be unpleasant in Act 3, took her home at once. The next afternoon she appeared at the matinee with a whole bevy of her own generation and saw the rest of the play. I asked her later if it had shocked any of them.
"Oh, no,"
she replied.
"We are too young to be shocked."
That little incident also struck me as socially significant. There never were 2 generations inhabiting the same globe simultaneously with such widely separated points of view. For several years after this play was first published, no theatrical manager on Broadway would produce it. I don't blame them. I want to thank them for it. I doubt if this sort of thing could have appealed to many theatre-goers then, especially as my young lovers are trying to be good not bad. Self-expression and the right to happiness do not enter into their plans. The causes of their courageous and of course mistaken decision are unselfish and social motives, however futile and anti-social the results would have been had not their desperate determination been thwarted. When this play was first published, most people were not thinking along these lines. Such ideas were considered radical then. They will soon be old-fashioned, even on the stage. Kind and discriminating as the critics have been in regard to this comedy, a discriminating critic being, of course, one who praises your play, few of them have seen the point which I thought I was making emphatically clear, namely that we can't cure social defects by individual treatment. Not only the lovers, but all the characters in this play are trying to do right according to their lights. There is no villain in this piece. At least the villain remains off stage. Perhaps that is why so few see him. You are the villain, you and I and the rest of society. We are responsible for the rules and regulations of the marriage game. Instead of having fun with human nature, I tried to go higher up and have fun with human institutions. I say tried, because apparently I did not succeed. The joke is on me. Still, I can get some amusement out of it, for a great many people seem to like this play who would be indignant if they knew what they were really applauding. They think they are merely enjoying satire on human nature. Now it is a curious fact that you can always curse human nature with impunity, can malign it, revile it, boot it up and down the decalogue, and you will be warmly praised. How true to life, you are told. I know someone just like that. It is always someone else, of course. But dare lay hands on the existing order, and you'll find you've laid your hands on a hornet's nest. You see, most people do not want anything changed, except possibly the law of change. They do not object to finding fault with mankind because you can't change human nature, as they are fond of telling you with an interesting air of originality. But laws, customs, and ideals can be changed, can be improved. Therefore they cry, "Hands off! How dare you?" Man made human institutions, therefore we reverence them, whereas human nature was merely made by God, so we don't think so much of it. We are prejudiced, like all creators, in favour of our own creations. After all, there is excellent precedent for such complacency. Even God, we are informed, pronounced his work all very good, and rested on the seventh day. Pretty nearly everything in the play as acted is in the book as published, but by no means all that is in the book could possibly be enacted on the stage in 2 hours and a half. One scene, a breakfast scene between John and his wife, has been amplified for acting, but all the other scenes as printed here have been shortened for stage purposes, and 1 or 2 cut out entirely. The set was changed to represent the loggia, instead of the terrace, of John's little farm. Outdoor scenes are not supposed to be good for comedy. Walls, or a suggestion of them, produce a better psychological effect for the purpose, besides making it possible to speak in quieter, more intimate tones than when the voice spills out into the wings and up into the paint-loft. Near the end of the play, a number of relatives, rich and poor, are supposed to arrive for dinner, and for influencing by their presence the recalcitrant couple. That is the way it is printed, and that is how it is acted during the first few weeks of the Chicago run. But though the family may have its place in the book, it proved to be an awful nuisance on the stage. No matter how well these minor parts might be acted or dressed, their sudden irruption during the last and most important moments of the performance distracted the audience's attention from the principal characters and the main issue. It was not clear who was who, programmes fluttered, perplexity was observed. So we decided that the family must be destroyed. It is always a perplexing problem to devise a substitute for the family. Jesse Lynch Williams. End of Advance Notice